I want to talk a little bit about pressure, but how it relates to Arsenal at the moment. Obviously, they're 1-0 down to Liverpool, as we mentioned, but one player not involved tonight is Granit Xhaka. I don't think that's a surprise, given the events of Sunday afternoon and given the fact that they were probably going to rotate anyway. Arsenal have offered, counselling towards Xhaka. How he's responded to that, I'm not too sure. That situation there, the toxicity around Arsenal and its fan base on occasion as well, it's not a good place for a club to be in at this point in the season.
No, it's not. The Xhaka thing, it's really hard to know how to manage it, because what we see is what we see, in the newspapers, and the recent thing that happened, with various players in their team. Remember the problems that Ozil had with that kind of attempted hold-up. There's a little bit of pressure going around that dressing room just from what's going on outside. Quite clearly something's happening in the home life with Xhaka as well that is stressing him out. And that's also happening on the pitch because he's not playing well. Let me say a phrase I don't often say. There was a brilliant piece in Match of the Day the other night about him not, I don't know if it was Match, it was somewhere I seen some analysis about him not wanting the ball. And it was brilliant. It was absolutely superb because it was correct. You know when somebody actually wants a ball, and it's one of the things in a football pitch. Everybody thinks everybody wants a ball all the time, but it's not the case. And he wasn't going looking for that ball, and it was really interesting to see. That was a stunning thing. And sometimes it's not that obvious to see, and for fans it's not that obvious to see. But if a guy like him is, inverted commas, hiding on the pitch, there's something massively, massively wrong there. And what he needed at that point in time was a bit of sympathy. But I understand why the fans didn't give him it. I totally understand why they didn't give him it. And it just exploded, as he walked off the pitch. It really does look to me like one of those ones. It's not just what's happening in the stands. I think it's much more than that.
From experience, what's it? I don't know if you've had that experience even of having a teammate who is unwilling to put themselves out there and unwilling to go and look for the ball.
Oh, no, it's horrible. I mean, I personally felt it purely from another angle, i.e., all I seen was backsides sometimes. You get the ball, you take it around somebody, you look up, you don't see any faces, and you think, what's going on here? Why are you not wanting the ball? Because if there's a fear, you don't want to be the one to make a mistake. Now, idiot features here always wanted the ball, and you should always want the ball. And if you believe in yourself, you should always want the ball. But it does happen. There are times when players, I've played with one top international centre-back, and his stock phrase was, this was his stock phrase, training and games, don't give me the ball. That was his phrase. He played for England at centre-back and played for one of the teams I played for. Very well-known figure. But didn't want to play football. He just wanted to mark. So, and it's horrible that when you need someone you're getting closed down, you need everybody to help you out, to give you a face, to give you an angle. So it does happen. Very few players don't do it at all, just don't want the ball. That's very unusual. But you can tell certain players, there's times when they really don't want on it. And if it's a midfielder, that's a nightmare because they're supposed to be the link-up guys.
It seems the ideal situation here. I don't think there is an ideal situation given what surrounds it, but probably the best way out of this for all concerned is that Jack is probably given a couple of weeks where he maybe trains in around the squad, but he's not involved in first team action. And Emery gets to control the message a little bit and say, listen, he's working hard in training, he's trying to find his way back to his best form, and with the help of everybody around him, we can get him back to where he should be as a player, rather than having a us versus them mentality and having both sides, one being the fans and the other being Xhaka, digging their heels in and still kind of snarling at each other from a distance. A bit of softness, a bit of softly approach might help out of here, I think.
I think the manager's already said one thing. He's already said he's devastated. So he said that much that, no, he is, that Xhaka is. So that's that one little tiptoe down the road that you're suggesting there. And that's the way you have to go. You need to give a little bit of space. Now, it is like, not with all fans, but some fans is, right, that's him. He threw the shirt down. He will never be accepted again. The amount of players that I've heard being told they'll never be accepted again and were loved 6 months later because things went well for them. But it's all about what you do in the pitch. It's all about making sure you're good enough to do something special. Problem with Xhaka is, if you look at what he has provided over the period of time, he's not going to score you a whole bunch of goals. He's not going to create you a whole bunch of goals. It's not going to be like that for him. And if he makes another mistake, like, dives in another one of his bookings or a sending off, you wonder how many routes back there's going to be for him. So I think that there is a real weakness and a real problem there for him. I hope he gets out of it, because I just hope the best for any player. But you look at that Arsenal team, it had a great thing. I don't know if you've heard about it, but apparently they've got 5 captains.
Yeah, they've got a captaincy group.
I mean, really?
A leadership group, I think. But the thing about it is, like, this happens. Well, we were talking about this yesterday. I'm trying to think. It was Gary Breen was on this, actually talking about the Arsenal situation specifically, and he was saying that maybe captaincy isn't viewed with the same level of specialness, let's say, on the continent as it is in the Premier League. So Unai Emery doesn't necessarily put the same kind of weight behind it. And without wanting to compare apples and oranges, you do hear about, like, leadership groups within, say, rugby teams. Like, and Leinster would be case in point, whereby they chop and change so much that they would need, in fact, maybe 3, 4, 5 people who can fill the role of captain. And maybe Emery possibly sees football going that way, and maybe sees that as the best solution for his Arsenal team.
Yeah, but you're going to pick 5 guys that you kind of hope, when fit, are all going to be on the pitch. That's half of your team are captains. I mean, seriously, it's just too much. A captain, a vice captain, but do you know what? They're just names. I'm actually, oddly enough, much closer to the continental system that Gary was talking about there. Kind of doesn't matter. I'm absolutely honest with you. I played hundreds of games in my career, and I couldn't have told you who the captain of my team was. I really could have. I didn't care.
Is that because Dave Watson wasn't looking for the ball that much, or?
Waggy was... No, it may have been Ratcliffe. I can't even tell you.
Okay.
No, it wasn't Watson, by the way. May I add, it wasn't Waggy. But I mean, in all seriousness, that I didn't see that as a big thing. I just thought it was important that there are different people leading different ways. Some people will shout, some people will organise. Most captains don't organise. That's the coaches. I think the best way to lead is by example. So I won't be fearful. I want the ball all the time. Yeah. I think that's a better way to lead than anything else. So, and I suppose the big thing is when you go to international teams and somebody's mentioned captain, this is a big thing. You talk about the English game. England, if you hear people talking about who's captain of England just now, it drives me nuts that. Who cares? About 6 of the guys in the team are probably captains anyway in the team, or should be. That's often the case. You go out there and you actually should be a leader yourself, and every single one of you should be capable, or at least 7 or 8 or 9 of you should be capable of doing that. I think we put far too much on it, and I think we get a little bit confused by it. And I think making 5 guys captains within one smaller than a rugby dressing room group, I don't know if it's very helpful. And I look at that group and I look at the personalities, and I just wonder, the one leader they've actually got in there is the one guy they've not actually put on as one of the leaders. Yeah. And that's David Luiz. If you know him as a personality, he's a leader. And he's probably, actually, because he's had a tough start to the season with losing a few goals and his form wasn't great, he scored a couple of goals now. I'd be tempted to chuck Xhaka out of the group and bring Luiz in. You'd probably help you a wee bit.
You understand why that would shock people, though?
Yeah, absolutely. But I wouldn't give a stuff. I never care about shocking people. If I'm, if I'm a football club and I'm running it and I'm trying to get the best out of it, I couldn't care less what anyone else outside thinks. I'll do what's the right thing. And that's always what you have to do. It always confused me that if you're playing, again, sometimes internationals are specific for it, but you come in at the end of the game and the manager would be talking to the assistant manager saying, right, how should we play this in the press? Stuff that. We should be playing it with the people that are in your dressing room. That's the big thing. Get that right, and they're the only ones that can actually help you. They're the only ones that are going to get you out of the situation that you're in just now. Don't worry about the rest of it. So how it plays elsewhere, I mean, what horrible thought in anything in life, if you go down the tubes because you didn't do what you thought was the right thing, but you thought wouldn't go down well, or would go down well. That's not the way to do it. Certainly not at the top level of football.
Pat, thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Absolute pleasure. I might go and watch Chelsea now.
Sure, you might as well.